Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my kitchen. I am so excited for today's video, partly because it's the first time that I am filming a dinner freezer prep video, but also because I can't wait to have these meals in my deep freezer. For those of you that are new here, I'm a busy mom of three, got 3 kids, 2 dogs, my husband, my mom is around all the time. It is a very, very, very busy household, and I don't always have the time or the desire, if I'm being quite honest, to cook a meal from scratch, but I love giving my family home-cooked meals with ingredients that I can control, and I know that I'm giving them something good. So with that being said, let me go over what I plan to make today. I also want to preface by saying I am not perfect by any means. I am trying my best here. I am trying to find really good swaps for certain things or certain seasonings that I use that aren't really the best. You know what I mean? I'm trying my best with what I have, but I think overall majority of what I'm giving my family is really good quality and still better than them eating out. So on the menu for today, I have my crock pot and my Instant Pot. I figured I could make 2 different kinds of soups and I can have those cooking while I'm working on other things. So I think that's what I'm gonna get started on first. But I'm gonna do a chili. My family loves chili. And I also want to mix together the dry ingredients of the cornbread and have it in a mason jar. And then the day of, I can just mix together the wet ingredients and bake it. It is definitely much more convenient than me having to take out the flour and the cornmeal and the sugar and measure everything. So it's not like it's cooked 100% of the way, but it is a heck of a lot more convenient, and that's really all I'm looking for. Some of these meals will be cooked all the way. Some of them are just gonna be prepped so that I can put them in the oven and cook them. I just want to simplify the process as much as possible because I am, like I said, busy and tired half the time. So I don't know what my collar is doing. It's fine. So I want to make some chili. I want to make some chicken and gnocchi soup. Normally I make my own gnocchi, but I did not have the time to do that. So I have some like box gnocchi that I picked up at Sprouts. But my kids love that soup, and I pack it with veggies and a lot of chicken. So they get a good amount of protein in there. So we're gonna do that. Now for the rest of what I'm gonna be making, I'm thinking to make some sweet and sour meatballs, but I don't think that I want to, do I want to cook them? Yes, I do. Because then I can just heat the whole thing up and call it good. I have a really good recipe that I love. I made it a few weeks ago and my family loved it. So I'm gonna do some sweet and sour meatballs and have that already cooked. I want to make some meatloaf. I wanna make 2 meatloafs. I've been following Garten's recipe for meatloaf and it's delicious. I never fully follow a recipe to the T, so I add my own little touch to it. But I think for the most part, I follow that recipe pretty closely. It's just the topping. I kind of do my own little thing. So I'm gonna do some meatloaf, and I think what I wanna do is like shape it in the shape of the meatloaf and put it in my freezer and just let it freeze, and then I can just put that into a Ziploc bag or saran wrap it really tightly. So when I want meatloaf, I can just take it out, put it on a baking sheet, put the sauce on top of it, and then call it good. So I will make the sauce and put those in mason jars so that everything is pretty much done. And then the last few things that I want to do, it's just marinating some chicken. So this is not going to be cooked. I am either planning on cooking this chicken in the Instant Pot or on the grill. And I just want to have it marinated because I feel like that would make it super, super easy. I made a honey chipotle chicken in the Instant Pot last week and my family loved it. It was so good. It was spicy and sweet. It had a little kick. It had some salt. It was just really, really good. And I made chipotle bowls with it. So I want to prep some of that just to have on hand so that I can throw together a really quick dinner. I think that's everything. But yeah, I'm gonna get started first. Let me see, let me think. I think what would be the easiest is to prep all of my veggies because I need onions, for example, for both soup. I need it for the meatloaf. So I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping up all of the veggies, and then we'll move on to making the soups in the Instant Pot and the crock pot first to have those cooking while we do everything else. First things first, I'm gonna set up a scrap bowl for myself because that just makes it so much easier. Now, I am gonna do all of the veggies first because I have to use this to cut up my chicken. I really, really don't like using my wood cutting board for cutting chicken, but the stainless steel one that I have is like itty bitty, and I don't like using plastic cutting boards. I am gonna pick up either a really large stainless steel cutting board. There's one that I have my eye on, but it's like $300. So, cause it's like half wood and on the other side, it's like carbon steel. Oh, I would love to get that one day. But we're gonna do that, and what I'll do is I'll just boil some water in my electric kettle, and when I clean it, I will clean it with boiling hot water. So that's why I wanna get the veggies done first. So what I'm actually gonna do is have a bowl for garbage and a bowl for any scraps, because I'm gonna make a veggie stock, or a chicken stock, sorry. And I wanna add celery to it, so I'll use that. I also wanted to note that a lot of the times I don't really have a recipe for things. I mean, I find a recipe online and then I end up tweaking it my own way anyway. So some of these I don't have a specific recipe to give you, but if I don't, I will find a recipe that is the closest to what I'm making and leave it down in the description box below. For some of these things, I do have a recipe. So it's not all of them, but this chicken and gnocchi soup, I don't remember where I got the recipe from. I'm just going off of memory. So for something like that, I'll find a recipe for you guys. All right, so I just went ahead and chopped up 2 large jalapenos for the chili. We like it with a little bit of spice to it. So I'm gonna set this aside, and now I'm gonna get started on the onions. I saved it for last because they make me cry. So I'm going to grab another white bowl. Actually, I'm gonna add some white onion to this one. This is for the chicken and gnocchi soup. And I will grab a bowl for the rest of the onion that I'm gonna split between the chili and the meatloaf. So this is everything for the chicken and gnocchi soup, so I'm gonna set this aside. So I have 3 onions left. I just need 2 of them for the meatloaf recipe. So I'm gonna set those aside. And I think I'm just gonna cut up 1 more for the chili and save this one just in case I need it for something else this week. I'll put this one in a little Ziploc bag. And since I have to cook these onions for the meatloaf, I'm just gonna go ahead and add them into the pan that I'm gonna use so that I'm not dirtying up extra dishes. All right, so this is all of the onions that we're gonna need for the meatloaf. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the stove now. So I'm getting started on this chili recipe, and I'm gonna add in 2 pounds of ground beef to this crock pot. This will come together really, really quickly because you're basically just dumping everything in here and you're pretty much done. I'm gonna set it to high. Since I'm making such a big batch, or I wanna make a big batch, I think I'm gonna add 2 more packs of ground beef because that'll give enough for dinner and to put some away. Or maybe just 1. We'll do 1 more pack of ground beef. For the seasonings, I'm gonna add some salt, a decent amount since it's making a really big batch. I'm gonna add some pepper. I'm adding in some garlic as well. I'm adding in some chili powder, but also some ancho chili powder. I really like using this in chilies. It has like a little bit of a deeper flavor, and I don't have that much left, so we're using what we got. Say 2 or 3 tablespoons of that. I'm also adding in a little bit of cumin and some paprika. Let me just open this side up. And once I have everything cooked in, I'll taste it and adjust and see what we need, but we're gonna start with that for now. I'm gonna add in this can of diced fire roasted tomatoes, but then I also have this one here that's kind of like a rotel. It's diced tomatoes and green chilies, and I have a can of green chilies. So I'm gonna add all of this in. I'm also adding in 2 cans of corn. I'm gonna strain out the water. A can of black beans, a can of Great Northern. I don't think I've ever put this in a chili, but I figured can't be that bad. And a can of pinto beans. And all of the beans I am gonna rinse. I'm also gonna toss in the onions and the jalapenos. And then I'm gonna cover all of this with water, and I think I'm gonna add in a little tomato paste to thicken it up a little bit. That's it for now. We're gonna pop a lid on this and let it cook on high for a few hours, and then we'll come back and check it, taste it, adjust, all the things. So the next thing I want to get done is that chicken and gnocchi soup, but I need to take all the chicken, clean off all the little fat pieces and things like that. So if I'm going to do it for the soup, I'm just going to do all of the chicken, so that way I can get on to marinating the chicken. I think what I've decided to do, I think I'm going to do 4 honey chipotle, since that's been our current favorite, and then 2 cilantro lime chicken. But as for the chicken for the soup, I do season the chicken and then kind of sear it. I'll take it out, cut it up into cubes, and then add it back to the soup. I don't know if I'm gonna cube it or I'm gonna shred it. I'll see what my husband prefers. So let me get to doing my least favorite task, which is dealing with raw chicken, but it must be done. What I think I'm gonna do is, as I cut up the chicken breasts, I'm gonna pop them into the bags. I'm gonna do 4 chicken breasts per bag. That should give enough. Is it 4 or 5? 5. I'm gonna do 5 chicken breasts per bag, and that should be enough. I know that they sell those things on Amazon that hold open your Ziploc bags, and I definitely wanna get that. But for now, what I'm gonna do is just roll the bags up a little bit and open them up, so that way once I place all the raw chicken in, I can just lift this up and not have it touch the zippered part. I'm gonna set aside the chicken that's gonna be for the chicken and gnocchi soup, because that one I like to season, like I said. So I'm gonna cut out all of the funky little bits, and I'm gonna try to load that one up with chicken. So I think I'm gonna do 4. I think what I'm gonna do is, because I wanna get these searing in the Instant Pot, let me wash my hands, get all the seasonings. Let's season this up and get it in the Instant Pot, and while that's cooking, I can work on the rest of the chicken. So nothing too crazy for the chicken, just some salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. I'm gonna turn on the Instant Pot and put it to the saute mode. It gets pretty hot quickly, so it won't take that long for it to come up to a nice heat. I'm gonna add in a little bit of butter. I got this one from my Azure standard order. This is from the company Petaluma Gold. I've really been enjoying this one. Look how yellow it is. Amazing. So I'm gonna add a little bit of butter to the bottom of this. I'm hoping that I can get, this is the first time that I do it in an Instant Pot. I'm hoping I can get a nice sear on both sides. I don't know, since it's a little bit crowded. We'll see, but I'm not looking to cook it all the way through. Just get a nice sear, take it out. I'll let it rest before I chop it up, add everything in, and then once we add it back in and let it slow cook, it'll cook up just fine. Okay, so while that chicken has been cooking, I went ahead and cut up all of the chicken off camera and placed them in the bags. We're gonna go over the sauces that I'm gonna put in them, and then these are gonna be done. But I did have to come on here and say that I definitely miscalculated for both the ground beef and the chicken for today. And I don't know if it's the postpartum brain or what it is, but I definitely miscounted. And I could have just left this part out, but I figured this is just, it's real life, it is what it is. You kind of just have to adjust your plan and then move on. So instead of doing 4 bags of the honey chipotle and 2 bags of the cilantro lime, garlic chicken, I think what I'm gonna do, at least for this meal prep, is 4 bags of the honey chipotle, because that one I know my family really, really likes in chipotle bowls. So I wanna make sure that I have food on hand that my family really enjoys. And not that they don't enjoy the other one, but I think at least for right now, they enjoy honey chipotle a little bit more. So I'm gonna stick with the 4 bags of that and do 1 bag of the cilantro lime chicken. As for the ground beef, I have enough to make the 2 batches of the sweet and sour meatballs and just 1 meatloaf, not 2 like I thought. I prepped onions for 2. So what I'm gonna do is I will use half of those onions, and then the other half I might just put it in a Ziploc bag or something and keep it in the freezer. And whenever I need some, they're not caramelized 100%. They got a little bit brown because I had the heat a little too high, so I just shut it off and let them continue cooking off heat. So I can't say that they're caramelized, but I can use those in a bunch of different recipes. So I might just do that. So that way nothing gets wasted and we just kind of shifted and readjusted for the day. So let's get started on the marinade for this chicken, because then I need to wash my cutting boards, and I also want to heat up some water in my electric kettle to make some coffee because I haven't had any coffee, and I need coffee, my husband needs coffee, my daughter's sitting here, she wants coffee. So I'll heat up enough water to use some for my French press, and then to use the rest of it to pour over those wooden cutting boards. So for the honey chipotle, I did this for the first time last week, this specific recipe for the first time last week, and I don't fully remember. I think I saved it as a recipe on my TikTok, so let me go back and see what she put into it and see if I can remember what I tweaked on my own. But I know for sure we're gonna need some chipotle peppers in adobo. So since I'm making 4 bags, I'm gonna use 2 whole cans of these. These are really nice and spicy and smoky. I know I'm gonna need some honey. I just watched back the recipe. She didn't give measurements for anything, which is kind of how I cook. So I will list the recipe down below with estimates of what I'm using for a batch. But yeah, let me get started on this. Now the recipe did call for onion powder. I don't have any more onion powder, so I had thought maybe I will use some of the onions that I cooked too much of and put that in here instead. The recipe called for fresh garlic. I don't have fresh garlic, but these are garlic cloves that I minced and then froze into these little pucks. So I'm gonna throw one of those in there. And I believe I did this in my kitchen staples prep, so I'll link that video down below. Adding in some salt and pepper. Some garlic powder. A little bit of cumin. She also added in this chicken bouillon paste or powder. And this is what I'm trying to get away from, is using products like this, but I just don't have a really good substitute for it. And I do have this big jar, so I'm gonna finish using this one up, and hopefully by the time I finish, I will have figured out what to use in its place. I have some avocado oil. This is the first time opening this one. I got this one from my Azure standard order. Oh, how cool. It has like a little spout. I'm gonna say I put in about maybe 2 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm adding in maybe about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, probably 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, a teaspoon of cumin, and a tablespoon of this chicken bouillon. And then the one thing that she didn't add was honey, but I'm adding honey because I want to do honey chipotle. Say 1, 2, like 3 tablespoons. And then maybe about a 1/4 cup of water. I'm gonna blend this up, taste it, adjust, and then add it to the bag. So let me blend it really quickly. All right, I'm gonna give this a taste and see if it needs anything. That is spicy. I'm gonna say a little bit more honey. Let me do 1, 2 more. Let's blend this up. That chicken in the Instant Pot is almost done. All right, the husband approved, so we're good to go. The timer just went off for the Instant Pot, but since I already have this here, I just want to get the chicken done. So let me grab out my 4 packs of chicken. And each of these has 4 medium to large chicken breasts, and that'll give enough for 1 dinner for my family with maybe some leftovers. I need that little spatula thing. Here we go. I'm gonna try to lay them as flat as I can and get some of the air out. I'll label them and then stack them on top of each other and pop them into the deep freezer. And the way that I like to cook this is in the Instant Pot on slow cook. And just like that, we're done with 4 freezer-ready meals. Because this, I just pop it into the Instant Pot, like I said, and then I set it and forget it. And that's it. It kind of cooks itself. And then I shred it apart. I make some white rice, throw some corn and cilantro and things like that. And it's a super quick and easy dinner. I'm gonna place it on a cookie sheet. Not a cookie sheet. It's pizza pan. Honey. Chipotle. I feel like we're making a pretty good time. It is 1:10 and I think I started around 10:45, 11. I'm gonna switch gears. I will do the cilantro lime chicken in a second, but what I'm gonna do now is get started on that chicken and gnocchi soup. I'm gonna take all of that chicken out of that pan and get the veggies in there to start cooking down. And yeah, it should come together super quickly. So let me take you to the other side of the kitchen so that we can get that done. So these are definitely not cooked all the way through, but like I said, that's totally fine because I'm gonna cube this up and then add it right back in. I'm just gonna set it to the side for now. I'm gonna keep all of this in here because this is really, really good flavor. So all I'm gonna do is add in the veggies that we chopped up earlier, which is the onion, carrot, and celery. I'm gonna give this a second to kind of cook up. I'll put the lid back on and we will switch gears and finish up that chicken. We're gonna come back. I need to let the veggies cook a little bit so that I can add some flour to it. So we're gonna let this hang out for just a second. For this chicken, I'm gonna keep it super simple. I'm just gonna add in some avocado oil. I'm not sure if I actually like this spout. Like I do like it, but I also feel like it has a really slow drizzle. So I'm gonna add in maybe 2 tablespoons or so of avocado oil. And then I'm gonna keep it pretty simple with some salt, pepper, and garlic. I'm adding in the juice of 2 limes. And I'm gonna chop up this nice little bunch of cilantro, but I need to show you guys something really quick. I came in here to grab my cilantro. I put my cleaner in my fridge. Guys, this postpartum brain is something else. And I feel like this would be really good on the grill with some roasted corn and maybe some like potatoes. That sounds really good. Potatoes is the next thing that I'm gonna put my focus on. I really want to pressure can some potatoes so that I can make quick and easy mashed potatoes, potato salad, all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna add in the cilantro. All right, and that calls it good for this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do like I did with all the others, make sure that I mix it really, really well. Have all the cilantro bunched up in a corner. All right, we're gonna pop this into the freezer. All right, guys, back over to this side. I know that we're hopping around my kitchen quite a bit, but they're starting to cook down really nicely. I'm gonna add in one of those garlic pucks. Add one of those. And now I'm gonna say 2 tablespoons of flour to start. And that's just gonna help thicken up the soup. So I'm gonna let this cook for a few more minutes just to cook out that flour taste. And while this is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up that chicken. And because we seasoned it and seared it beforehand, this is gonna add a lot of really good flavor. I lost the piece. Okay, I'm gonna shut off the Instant Pot because I don't want the bottom to burn. Let me go ahead and get my water. 4 cups right there. That's 8 cups. That is 12 cups. And I wanna leave some space for 2 cups of heavy cream, but I am gonna turn on the slow cook. We're gonna put it to high and set it for about 2 hours. I think that should be good. I don't have too much left in here, so let's see what we got. This is another one of those recipes that calls for chicken bouillon. So like I said, it's probably about a tablespoon. Until I find a good alternative, I'm gonna use up what I have here. So I tasted it. We're gonna add a little bit more black pepper, garlic powder, salt. I think because this is such a large batch and I added in so much of that water and not chicken stock, it just needs a little help in the flavor department. So the soup is gonna thicken up really nicely with that flour, and also when you add in the gnocchi, it'll help thicken up the soup too. That's yummy. I do have to add in some Parmesan, but I'm gonna add that in at the very end. Now these are the boxes that I picked up at Sprouts, and I don't think I've tried these before. We will try them out together. Trying to decide if 1 pack of gnocchi is good or if I should add the other. I think I might go ahead and just add the second one as well. Doesn't hurt, right? There we go. Now this is like full pretty much to the brim. Hopefully it doesn't boil over. I think we should be fine. Okay, so I popped on the lid. I'm gonna let that sit for 2 hours, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a kitchen reset, 10 minutes, just to reset my kitchen because it's looking a little crazy and it's a little overwhelming. So let me clean up a little bit, put some things in the dishwasher, and we will come back for the very last part, which is just getting the meatballs done, the meatloaf, and the cornbread in the mason jars. And then that's basically it. That's really exciting. What time is it? 1:35. So I think we're still making pretty good time. So let me clean everything up and I will come right back. Alrighty, I am back. I've regrouped. I've cleaned up the kitchen. I loaded the dishwasher. I made some coffee that we desperately needed. So we're pretty much down to the last little bit. I have the oven going at 350 just to get it warmed up. I have my 2 pans on the stove with parchment paper. One of them is gonna be for the meatloaf. I'm gonna shape it into a meatloaf, put it in my back freezer, and once it's completely frozen, I'll go ahead and put it in a Ziploc bag. And the other one is to cook the meatballs because I don't wanna do it on the stove. So we're almost done, but I feel a lot better now that the kitchen is clean. So now we can get started on the next thing. So we have our 2 bowls. I'm gonna add 2 into 1 for meatloaf and then 3 packets for the sweet and sour meatballs because I wanna try to get 2 meals out of that. Oh no, this is beef stew. Okay, it's okay. It's hard to tell when they're frozen like that. It's all kind of packed up. I'm gonna put this in a Ziploc bag. All right guys, another little hiccup. Another little hiccup, but quite all right. So these are the packages from Wild Pastures, and when they're in the back and they're frozen, if you're not really looking at the tiny little letters here, you can easily mistake this for a packet of ground beef. So we took out 2 packs of beef stew instead of ground beef. I'm gonna go ahead and put these back in my freezer. So that means I have 3 packs of meat. What I wanna do. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll do 2 packs for the meatloaf and then 1 pack for the meatballs, and we'll just do 1 meal instead of 2 for the meatballs. So that should be fine. All right, I think I'm gonna work on the meatballs first. I'm just gonna do 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. Teaspoon of oregano. I will list this recipe. And I'm gonna roll them about this big. I'm gonna pop these into the oven for about 20 minutes, and then I might broil them for just a minute or 2 to get them nice and crispy on top. Popping back over here for just a second, I needed to add in a few more things to the onions that are gonna go into the meatloaf. So to this, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of tomato paste. I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And a little bit of thyme. To this, I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs, 2 eggs, this feels a little too wet to me, so I have a little bit of breadcrumbs left, maybe another 1/4 cup, so I'm gonna add this in. And I'm gonna toss this right into the freezer to let it firm up, and then I will put it in a plastic freezer bag. There we go, 1 dinner pretty much done. To make this even easier, I'm gonna make the sauce that's gonna go on top of the meatloaf and put this in my fridge. This will last quite some time in a mason jar, so I would say 1/2 cup of ketchup, a little yellow mustard, about a tablespoon of that, about a teaspoon of sugar, and a little bit of molasses. You could use brown sugar as well. All right, let me give this a taste test. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is the sauce. So really the dinner is super, super easy. All I'll have to do is pop the meatloaf into the oven, throw the sauce on top, make some veggies, and call it good. So very, very convenient to have this in my deep freezer. I'm gonna pop this in my fridge. And the very last thing before we do the cornbread is to get that sweet and sour sauce done. What I'm thinking is once it cools, I purchased a big pack of those like plastic soup containers that you get like at the Chinese store. So I think I'm just gonna put it in a large one and put that in the freezer, so that way when I wanna make it, I could just let it thaw out the night before, reheat it really quickly, and dinner will be done. So that seems really, really easy and convenient, right up my alley. So let me make that sauce super quickly. I went ahead and removed the meatballs, and I also added it to the bowl where I had those onions. I thought that would be really tasty. So I'm gonna set these aside. I also have the sauce cooking. I thought I was recording, I wasn't, but I will put the recipe in the description down below. I'm pretty much just heating it up so that the sugar dissolves, but I tasted it, it tastes fantastic, and I'm gonna add it to the meatballs once it's done. All right, very last thing to prep is the cornbread. I do have the recipe here, so that's what I'm gonna go off of. I don't think I have enough baking powder, but I will place a note because I do wanna make some today, so I'll place a note to add in baking powder as well when it's time to make these. And again, I will leave the recipe down in the description box below. So it definitely did not fit in that mason jar, and I don't have any larger ones on hand right now. So I just put it in a Ziploc bag, wrote what I need on top of it, and we're gonna call this good. I'm gonna make another bag and a batch to put into the oven. All right, so it's been a few minutes. I was able to package up these sweet and sour meatballs, and then I did do a full portion of the sauce, so I saved half of this sauce in case I decide to cook up some chicken or some shrimp. I think that would be really good, like sweet and sour shrimp with some broccoli. That sounds really good too. So I have that sauce set to the side. I have a meatball here that I cut in half. I want to taste it, but I also want my husband to taste it. You see his arm, he's off camera, he's a little shy.
Really good. Like really, really good.
That meatball's really soft. That's really good. That was delicious. Really, really good. So what I'm gonna do now is load up my dishwasher in a second because it's starting to get a little hectic again. But I do have some cornbread in the oven. I will show you guys when that comes out. I wasn't able to do 2 because I underestimate. This whole video is just me underestimating how much I need for certain things and miscalculating. That's the Instant Pot. But yeah, just a lot of miscalculating, and it is what it is. I think next time I need to do the math a little bit better, make sure that I have all the meats, but it's okay. Regardless, we still got a lot done. I still think it's a pretty successful day, even with the miscalculations and the cleaner in the fridge. It's still a win. I still have some freezer meals that are gonna be either already cooked or super, super simple to put together. Super simple, super quick, which is exactly what I need. So I'm very happy with this. I think the chili is gonna take a little bit longer to cook because I wanted to do a taste test of that as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and shred up some cheese, put it into the soup that is right there, hopefully not bubbling over. No, almost. And then I'll have my husband come back and do a little taste test of the soup. I'm gonna let it cool completely before packaging it. So let me get to shredding this cheese up, adding it in there. I think I wanna do maybe like about a cup and a half, I would say, of this. And yeah, let's get to shredding. So I have about this much cheese. I don't know what this is. 2 cups? Yes, almost 2 cups. So that's what I'm gonna add into the soup. So this is about done. I'm about to have my husband come and give this a little taste test for us. That is a big piece of chicken. I feel like he would appreciate that. My daughter's also here and she's hungry, so she's gonna have a bowl of this now. But let me know what you think.
Very good.
Good? All right guys, so that is everything for today. I feel so accomplished that I have all of these meals in my freezer. I also had a pizza freezer day, and I will link that down below because I believe that will already be posted by the time this one comes out. But I had a pizza freezer prep day, a breakfast freezer prep day, so I feel like I'm pretty set now. I want to say for 2 or 3 months, but realistically I'm set for about maybe a month and a half, 2 months with my size family and us focusing on primarily eating foods at home. But I do have some days coming up where I can just relax for a little bit and I don't have to cook from scratch if I don't want to. I mean, all of the food that I have here is from scratch, but I can just heat it up and I don't have to, you know, do the whole shebang. So super excited. Anyway, I do have some videos coming up soon. I am gonna invest in the Presto digital canner. I do have the regular one. I need to get over my fears and learn how to pressure can on the stove. So I have some videos coming up where I'm gonna be pressure canning for the first time. So if you are into any of these kinds of videos, homemaking, cooking from scratch, a little bit of gardening, a little bit of vlog, some mom life, then go ahead and hit that subscription button and the notification bell so that you are alerted every time I come up with a video. I have been posting consistently on a weekly basis every Wednesday. We'll see if we can up that a little bit, but for now it's every Wednesday and I throw a few shorts in here and there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And like I said, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you here. And until the next video, bye friends.